guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing the Healthy Foundation by Physicians Formula. This cap is disgusting. I can't get it shiny again. If you are interested in seeing how this foundation applies and wears throughout the day, stay tuned. So real quick, I wanted to tell you guys the claims on the back of the bottle. There's not much. Packed with vitamins and antioxidants for healthy coverage, infused with Chinese Soooo extract and hyaluronic acid, sodium salts to brighten, hydrate, and even skin tone. Ultra blendable, lightweight, buildable, and breathable. Shake bottle before use. It does contain SPF, a very small amount. It recommends that you, if you're using this as sunscreen, to stay out of the sun and to reapply every 2 hours and apply 15 minutes before sun exposure. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine to use the foundation with an SPF because SPF only protects your skin for 2 hours. So I don't really ever do my makeup every 2 hours. That's just me though. You might, I don't know. Again, if I haven't mentioned it, I have oily combination skin. Products tend to break apart really bad around my T-zone, forehead, chin, around my nose, smile lines, and as you can see, I have hyperpigmentation, sun damage, all that fun stuff that I like to cover up. There was no recommended method of application on the bottle. It does come with a doe foot applicator. I'm going to be doing half my face with a brush and the other half with my EcoTools. I don't know how well this is going to cover. Not much comes off on the wand. Blending out really nicely with the Beauty Blender. I'm really liking the finish of that with the Beauty Blender. That's really pretty. I turned down the brightness so hopefully you guys can see that a little bit better. Very radiant finish. It's a little pink for me, but not bad at all. We'll see if it oxidizes or dries down at all. A different shade. Alright, so that is one layer with the Beauty Blender. I don't really have as much to cover up on this side of my face as I do this side. I have a lot of hyperpigmentation, so I usually tend to build up this side a little bit more. But let's see if we can get a little bit more of a fuller coverage with the brush. I would say that that's about a medium coverage. I don't particularly like how many times I have to dip this wand because it doesn't really get a lot of product that comes out on the wand. And for my brush, I'm just going to use my Smith 115 brush. It's very streaky with the brush, and I'm actually getting less coverage with the brush. I'm going to switch back to the Beauty Blender. It looks way better around my pores using the Beauty Blender, and it's a much more even application. I want to tap that out before it sets. It does set down pretty fast, but it seems to blend out really nice with the sponge. Not a fan of it with a brush. It's very streaky. So yeah, with the Beauty Blender with one layer, I would say you get a good, decent, medium coverage. I'm going to actually apply a little bit of that to the end of my Beauty Blender and see if I can build this up. And right around this area where I have more of the hyperpigmentation and sun damage, I'm just going to lightly tap that and see if I can build that up at all. I would say I'm able to get that up to almost a full coverage building it, but I would not build it up around this area right here if you have large pores because it starts looking pretty crappy. And then my chin, it's not wanting to stick very well, which my chin and my nose, I have problems getting stuff to stick to it anyway. It's doing a decent job. So it is definitely buildable. It does have a very nice radiant finish, and I'm going to let it sit down for just a few minutes and see if it dries down at all before we go on top with any more products. I will say right here around this area where I tried to build it up, it was really cakey, but as it kind of warmed up to my skin, it melted into my pores a little bit better. It's not as bad. A little bit of settling around the sides of my nose, and if I tap it, it comes right off. So I think this is going to be one of those, like, once it sets down, if you try to mess with it, it's just going to come right off. I am really hoping that it doesn't get too matte, because I really do like this healthy radiant, hence the name, healthy foundation, because it does. It just makes your skin look healthy. So I forgot to mention, it is 9:02 right now, so we'll just say 9 o'clock because I let it sit for a couple minutes. It looks the same to me. It is kind of already settling into the fine lines, and it stays tacky. So I am going to need to set this right where I blend my powder products on top of it. I'm going to get pretty close so you guys can see. So this is how the foundation looks. I haven't put any products on top of it yet, no concealer or anything yet. This is how it looks up close. So hopefully you guys can see it is kind of settling around these fine lines right here and a little bit into my forehead. So I'm gonna buff that out and we're gonna set it. To set it, I'm just gonna use some of my RCMA No Color powder because it really doesn't change how the foundation wears or anything like that. And I'm gonna really focus that around the areas where I normally would crease and the foundation would break down anyway. And then I'm gonna lightly just set the sides of my face here because it is very tacky. And I don't think powder products are gonna blend out very well on top of that. Like even using my brush with the translucent, or I'm sorry, with the No Color powder on it, it's like tugging at the brush. I'm gonna use just a tiny bit of concealer. I'm not gonna bring it down far because I don't want it to interfere with the foundation. This is my Maybelline Better Skin. It's a little too dark for me right now, so I'm gonna add just a tiny little touch of Shape Tape to that. Right there on that inner corner. Just a little dot on each side. And I'm just gonna really try my hardest to keep that right there underneath the under eye. All right, that is blended, and I did not bring that down at all, so any type of wear or anything that's on my pores will be strictly the foundation. So everything went on really nicely over that after I set it. Blush, bronzer, highlight, everything blended out really nicely. I will check in a few hours and we'll see how this is holding up. Okay, so it is 12:10, so it's only been on for about 3 hours, but I just wanted to show you guys. Definitely getting a little dewy already, especially around my T-zone area, but it's holding up really good. Normally I would blot, but I don't want to do that for the purpose of this video, so you guys can see how it holds up on oily combo skin. That's kind of the whole point. Still looking very healthy. Even though it is getting a little shiny around here, it's not breaking up anywhere. It hasn't gotten any worse in my smile lines. Not the best looking, but my forehead looks good. So that's a plus. I gotta say, it feels very heavy. Now, I love the way it's looking, but it does feel heavy. Like I'm not one to normally ever notice foundations, but it does feel heavy. And it has a weird smell. I've been trying, honestly, for like the last hour to try to describe the smell, and I can't think of anything. I don't know. It's not heavily perfumey. Yeah. I'm gonna go with paint, like a hint of paint with a dash of Play-Doh. That's a good analogy. Yeah. Hint of paint, dash of Play-Doh. That's what we're gonna go with. It's not strong, so I don't want you guys to think it's like this overpowering scent or anything like that. But I didn't really notice when I first put it on, and it seems like the more it's on my face, the more I notice it, and I just keep getting whiffs of it, and I'm like, interesting. It is a very pretty finish though. It looks really beautiful. To me, it kind of reminds me of like bridal skin, just that fresh, dewy face, but it doesn't feel like that. It does feel heavy, and it looks a little heavy around my nose. We'll check in at the end of the night and see if it's broken apart or how much more oily I get. Okay, it is 6 o'clock at night. Yes, 5:59. We're gonna call it 6. I put the foundation on at 9 o'clock this morning, so it's been on for 9 hours. and this is going to be my final check-in. But I'm definitely oily. Not the worst I've ever been oily by the end of the day. But, I mean, it's definitely got shine. It's still that borderline. You could classify it as like just a dewy finish, but we all know it's just oily. The smell that I mentioned earlier did go away, or else I just got used to it, but either way, it went away. It hasn't darkened on my skin at all. Sometimes foundations mix with my oils and oxidize really bad, but I haven't had any issue with that. Stayed pretty true to color. It's actually, for a drugstore, not being matched and ordering online, it's actually a pretty damn good guess. So again, LN4 is what I'm wearing. The foundation is actually holding up still very well. It has came off around the base of my nose a little bit and hasn't really settled into my big forehead wrinkle. This is my first time trying any foundation from Physicians Formula, and I'm actually really happy with it, especially at this price point. I believe, I will add it in the comments below, but I believe it was $17.99. But for that price point, I'm really pleased with this. It is the middle of winter and we have very dry air right now, so I personally find that variable matters a lot with my skin. I don't know how well this would be during the summer, but I do find this to be a really nice, healthy, glowy foundation that doesn't look too matte. I would recommend not getting it too heavy. I think next time, one light layer all over, and then just the areas that I need to, I will build up. I don't really need any extra coverage right around here, so I feel like that would help with some of the heaviness feeling. Like I mentioned earlier, I do notice that it feels heavy on my skin. As I've mentioned a gazillion times in my videos, I normally touch up throughout the day, and I'm used to foundations breaking down and not staying on my chin or around the base of my nose. So this actually held up really good. I'm very impressed with this foundation. I don't have any dry patches or anything to say how it would cling onto those, but I think if you're normal to combo, definitely recommend this foundation. But if you're just straight oily and you want it to go longer, you would need to plan on touching up and blotting and all that stuff throughout the day, because it does break down. Real quick, if you guys are still hanging in there, I'm gonna blot and touch this up and we'll see how it looks. If you guys wanna save some money, you really don't need to buy any special blotting sheets or anything like that. You can just use regular toilet paper. If you take the time to separate the 2-ply, it works a little bit better, but honestly, I'm so used to blotting that every time I go to the bathroom, I just use a little extra toilet paper on my face. Let's be real, us oily gals gotta do what we gotta do. All right, so that is just blotting. I haven't added any more powder. Already 10 times better. It stayed on pretty good through the blotting. This powder is my NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat powder. If you are a subscriber of my channel and you've watched these videos before, you know I love this powder. It is perfect for touch-ups, and I just take and like tap it. I don't really get a lot of product on there, and I just use this for touch-ups because it is a foundation powder, so it adds a little bit of coverage, but it is mattifying also. So it helps even out any parts where the foundation might have lifted off a little bit. And my favorite brush to use with it is the e.l.f. Flat Top Kabuki brush. It's a foundation powder. I don't recommend it for a foundation powder. I recommend it for what I use it for, touch-ups. Touch-ups. So good. All right, and that's what it looks like super up close after touching up and blotting. I'm really feeling this foundation, guys. Let me know in the comments below. Sometimes I change my mind when I'm editing it back, because you notice things when you're editing back that I can't see while I'm filming, but from what I see, it looks really nice. So anyway, I'll let you guys go, stop rambling. Thank you guys so much if you stuck around. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Have a good night.